Hello, and welcome to the First Stitch podcast, where we tell the stories of how everyday quilters just like you got started quilting, plus talk about some other fun quilty things along the way. This is your host, Lisa Donnelly from Wild Plum Lane. Let's get started. Today we get to meet Judy. She writes, I learned to sew in my high school home economics class when I was 15. My mother was an excellent seamstress, but didn't have time to teach me because she was very ill and passed away when I was a teenager. Skip forward about 5 years to when I started having my children and making their clothes. It was fun to see those little babies in what I had made, so I just kept on sewing. I did this until they started high school, and the girls didn't want to wear homemade clothes. That was okay with me. They kept me busy in other ways. Skip forward another 30 years. When my husband became ill, I chose to retire to take care of him. A few months later, he passed away, leaving me with what felt like an empty life. I had always cared for someone, my parents, children, husband. Now I was lost and in an empty house. I needed something to do for someone. I needed a purpose. One day I was dusting my mother's old Singer sewing machine and it hit me. I could quilt. I immediately went to the local quilt shop, bought a brand new sewing machine, and took lessons in quilting. It was not as easy as making clothes for my children or myself, but I kept on trying to get it just right. Some of those first blocks are shameful. That was 13 years ago, and I've gotten considerably better. Everyone in the family has 1, 2, or even 3 quilts as I go. This past Christmas, I had quilts for all the daughters and granddaughters. It was quite fun to see how they reacted to them. The older girls got panel lap quilts according to their interests. The granddaughters got quilts for their homes. Now I'm on to making donation quilts. Quilting brought me back to life. I will quilt as long as I can. In fact, I'm having a quilt room built so I can spread out. I machine quilt my quilts and I need more space. My goal for this year is to make a quilt for donation every month of the year. I've already started and have 3 in progress. I was told by a quilter years ago that you weren't a real quilter if you weren't working on 4 or 5 at a time. I have a good start on it and think all the kits I've bought in the past will be perfect for donations. And that story is from Judy. Let's move on to today's WIP-Finishing tip. As we settle into the new year and take stock of the quilt WIPs on our lists, ask yourself if you still want to complete all of them. Are they worthy of staying on your WIP list? If the answer is yes, great, you're in the right place. But if there are some that just aren't speaking to you anymore, consider donating them to your local quilt guild, thrift store, or to a quilty friend who does feel inspired by the project. It's a very quick way to knock a couple projects off your WIP list. And today's episode is brought to you by Electric Quilt Company. One of my favorite ways to plan a quilt, especially when I'm running patterns, is using EQ8 to test out colors, layouts, and fabric combinations before I ever cut into my fabric. I love being able to drop in fabric swatches and create a full digital mock-up of a quilt. It seriously saves me so much time, helps me feel confident about my fabric placement, and honestly, saves fabric too. No more cutting things out just to realize they don't quite work together, because goodness knows I've done that before. Whether you're designing your own quilts or just want a better way to visualize a project before you start sewing, Electric Quilt is an incredibly powerful tool to have in your quilting toolbox. You can find the link to check it out for yourself down in the show notes. And with that, we'll wrap up this episode of the First Stitch podcast. If you enjoyed listening, I'd sure appreciate it if you'd hit the subscribe button in your favorite podcast player, write a review on Apple Podcasts, or tell your best quilty friends so they can listen too. By the way, do you have a story to share? Every quilter has a beginning to their story, and we'd love to hear yours. Plus, over the years, you might have picked up tips or tricks you could share with others. It might inspire another quilter, so we want to hear about it. Share your personal quilting journey, your best project finishing tip, or your first stitch moment. Your story might be read on an upcoming episode of The First Stitch. You can submit your story today by sending an email to firststitchpodcast, all one word, that's firststitchpodcast@wildplumlane.com, or use our quick submission form down in the show notes. I can't wait to talk with you again soon.